Guess who got brands talking? Brandlive.co.za.
To innovate, you need to collaborate. That's by Marissa Mayer. Synergy is the highest activity of life. It creates new untapped alternatives. It values and exploits the mental, emotional, and psychological difference between people. That's by Stephen Covey. Alone we can do so little. Together we can do so much. That's by Helen Keller. And finally, Michael Jordan says, talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence wins competitions. Good morning, and welcome to the Midweek Motivation live from 27 Boxes here in Melville. And good morning to those of you joining us on my Facebook Live. This is the show dedicated to bringing you motivational content right here on brandlive.co.za. My name is Keenan Paulson. I'm the author of the book called How to Win Before You Begin. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an inspirational speaker and team building specialist. And if you'd like to get in touch with me, you can visit my website at www.mindfactory.co.za, or you can send me an email to keenan@mindfactory.co.za. The book I've authored is called How to Win Before You Begin, Mental Coaching for People Who Want to Win. Do you want to win? Do you know somebody who wants to win out there, who needs a victory in their life, who needs to overcome some obstacle, who needs to shift gears and change their trajectory? I absolutely believe that everything that we experience in our lives is a direct result of the thoughts we habitually think. And in this book, I will teach you tried and tested universal principles to build a winning mindset, and it's available directly from Mind Factory at a cost of 150 Rand. So invest in yourself today, and purchase a copy of this tremendously simple to read and easy to understand book, How to Win Before You Begin. Let's get into the show today, because on my Facebook and on my WhatsApp story, I've been promoting today's show, and it's called Monkey Mentality. And everybody I've spoken to has sort of got their back up against the wall, like, what is this guy about to say? Monkey mentality? Why are you calling us monkeys, Keenan? What is this all about? I just find that there's so much fear these days. You know, fear that we'll run out, fear of theft, fear of loss. And where did we learn to be so afraid? Maybe it was past experiences or the experience of others. Perhaps there's something fundamentally wrong in the way we perceive the world around us today. And this is where monkey mentality comes in. I've got a few questions for you. Please hop onto my Facebook Live, and for those of you who are joining me, please feel free to send through your comments, your questions. If you'd like to add anything, I'm going to do my best to interact with you guys, as well as those of you listening on www.brandlive.co.za. This is the Midweek Motivation every single week at 10 a.m. After the break, I've got the monkey mentality coming up. Stay tuned.
Brandlive.co.za. You're listening to brandlive.co.za.
In your face, all over the place. We're online 24/7. You're listening to the hottest internet station.
Brand Live.
No doubt. The station with the best music.
I love the music.
Best music.
Brandlive.co.za.
Lunatic, 'cause I do what I want, and I get what I want when I want it.
You know life can be so ordinary. Boy meets girl, they said don't make a baby.
Brandlive.co.za. You're listening to Brandlive.co.za.
Thank you for joining us here on the Midweek Motivation. Welcome back to brandlive.co.za. Today we're speaking about the monkey mentality. Oh my goodness, is your back up against the wall? Well, then that means I have you exactly where I want you. Monkey mentality is based on a case study. And what happened was a group of scientists placed 5 monkeys in a cage, and in the middle of that cage, they have a ladder with bananas right at the top. Almost suspended from the cage is this bunch of ripe, fresh bananas. And of course, being monkeys, they look up to the sky, look up to the ceiling of the cage, and see this wonderful bunch of bananas hanging right there. They see the ladder, and eventually they put two and two together, and they decide. One monkey decides, I'm gonna go for those bananas, right? After a while, so when the monkey goes up, the scientists are watching them, right? And just before the monkey reaches these ripe bananas, the scientists are then standing, outside of the cage, and they spray these monkeys with ice cold water. The monkeys, of course, freak out and go crazy, right? So after a while, another monkey decides, well, the bananas are still there, the ladder's still there, let me go for it. And what happens is, time after time, one monkey would go for it. The scientists would spray the monkeys with water. And what happens is, after a while, the other monkeys begin pulling down any monkey who tries to go for those bananas, right? So all of a sudden, what we have are the bananas still suspended from the cage. We have the monkeys that are now wet and cold and obviously distraught that they've been sprayed with this ice cold water. And what the scientists do is they replace one of the wet monkeys with a new dry monkey. The dry monkey enters the cage. He sees the bananas. He then decides, I'm going to go for the bananas, starts climbing up the ladder. The minute he's on the ladder, the other wet monkeys pull him down and beat him down. You don't go for those bananas because we're going to get sprayed with some cold water. The scientists don't actually spray them when that dry monkey goes. Eventually what happens is a second dry monkey is added. The monkeys then also beat that second monkey for going for the bananas. A third dry monkey is added. A fourth dry monkey is added. And a fifth dry monkey is added to the group. All of them going for those bananas suspended from the cage. None of them having been sprayed with cold water, but they all experience a beating. So right, if it was possible to ask these monkeys then, why did you beat up every single one of your friends who decided to attempt to go for those bananas? They would probably answer you, I'm not sure why we do that. That's just how things are done around here. The 5 monkey experiment, right? So 5 monkeys were sprayed with water, 5 monkeys were sprayed with ice cold water, and 5 monkeys experienced the beatdown. And we're going to get into exactly what all of that means for you in terms of the motivation right after the break.
brandlive.co.za. Harnessing the power of talk radio. brandlive.co.za.
Have you ever thought about the power of social media? Social media has the power to make your business grow. Yeah. Why don't you let us manage your social media? Because our business is to see your business grow. Visit us at www.bstownmedia.co.za.
You're listening to brandlive.co.za.
All right, beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me here, Keenan Paulson, on the Midweek Motivation on brandlive.co.za. Before the break, I explained a case study that was given where scientists placed monkeys in a cage, and through a series of elimination, eventually we have 5 monkeys who have never been sprayed with the cold water, and yet they all experience the beatdown. And I'm not sure if you've noticed, I'm sure you have, but no one achieved the bananas. No one reached the bananas. So we have 5 monkeys, we have a ladder, we have a cage, we've got some ice cold water and a bunch of bananas. And don't forget the scientists. What do each of these represent in your current work or business environment, possibly even your family? Your monkeys. Let's start with the monkeys. This is where people got their back up against the wall. Who are the monkeys? Pretty obvious, right? You and I. We're the monkeys. I think that's pretty obvious. The people in your team, the people in your company, the people in your organization, they're all monkeys. And I mean that in the most respectful way possible. I mean that in terms of the metaphor that we're using. Your family, your management, the subordinates, even your clients and your colleagues are represented by these monkeys that are in the cage, right? So anybody that you find in your environment, are represented by those monkeys, whether they be dry, whether they be wet, whether they be beaten up monkeys. The cage. What does the cage represent? Well, the cage represents the environment you find yourself in. The cage is your immediate environment. Wherever you find yourself, that is your cage. Your company could be your cage. Your business could be your cage. Think about a cage. You're confined to its spatial limitations. The cage could be the industry you find yourself in, the industry you operate in. The cage could be the political, the economic, or the social landscape you find in. What sort of environment do you find yourself in? All right, let's just go through this really quickly. We have a ladder in the case study that we're breaking down here. What does the ladder represent? The ladder represents, for me, the progression of the people in the company, the systems, the processes, the resources. If you think about the ladder, it's what the monkeys used to make their way towards achieving the goal, which was the bananas. Think about the ladder in terms of maybe conversations that we have. The ladder could be the ideas that we share, the creativity we bring to the table. The ladder is literally the resources that are at our disposal for our development, for our growth. The ladder could represent education. It could represent mentorship. It could represent coaching. It could represent reading, seminars, courses, upskilling yourself in some way, somehow. However we are going to achieve our goal, whatever mechanisms we make use of, that could be the ladder. Let's talk about the cold water. Cold water could be the negative experience that happened to those people in your teams, in your family, in the economy. It could be anybody that's in your immediate environment that experienced a negative experience. Think about that cold water for those monkeys. They were probably petrified every single time these scientists spray them with this cold water. It must have been unbearable for them. So it could be whatever got you down that day. It could be a negative word that was spoken to you. It could be something that happened in your day. Maybe you were in a car accident. Maybe something that you attempted failed, or you perceived it to have failed. The cold water was any negative experience that you could have gone through. And it doesn't only have to affect you. It could affect anybody else in your environment. Remember, all the monkeys were sprayed with this cold water, right? What about the scientists? The evil scientists laughing as they sprayed these monkeys with this ice cold water. Who do they represent? Since they were the ones doing the spraying, I feel like the scientists are those people who are the naysayers. They come to the table with this negativity, negative conversation. They're the complainers. They're the naysayers. They just bring this negative energy to the environment. And the purpose of me saying that is not for you to point out people and call them, wow, you must be a scientist, or you must be a negative naysayer, or you must be the problem in this environment. It's not that. It's for us to identify that there are people who bring negative influences into our environment, right? And then finally, the bananas. What do they represent? I'm actually allergic to bananas, Koketsa. I hate them. But the monkeys seem to love them. And what do the bananas represent? Bananas represent the goals that you strive for, the mission in your heart and of your team and in your company. They represent what you should be striving for. They represent our ideals, our values. Your bananas represent your mission in life. All right, now let's take a look at the different monkeys in the experiment, and let's see if you can identify yourself, because a lot of what happens here on the Midweek Motivation is all about you doing reflection and you doing introspection and you locating yourself and finding out where you're at and how you need to progress to either the next level or to that ultimate level of actually reaching those bananas. Let's talk about that first monkey. That first monkey, in my mind, is the absolute hero of the show, because he sees the bananas, he recognizes the ladder, he says there's a way to achieve my goal. And I just want to stop here for a second, and I just want to say to you that we can all be like that first monkey. We can all look at our environment, we can look at the cage, we can look at everything that's currently around us and surrounding us, and we can say, man, there's an opportunity for progress here. There's an opportunity for us to realize a dream. There's an opportunity for us to go out and get exactly what we want. We are the first monkey, and we're going to take the ladder and we're going to make that climb towards those bananas, right? What does this first monkey experience along his journey up that ladder? Maybe at first some of the guys were in the cage and they were saying, yes, man, go for it. Get those bananas. You're going to share them with us. This is going to be amazing. This is going to be fantastic. There must have been so much excitement around that first monkey. Maybe there was fear maybe this first monkey was like, I'm not sure if this ladder is stable. I'm not sure if this is going to work. All I know is there's a dream in my heart. There are bananas hanging from the ceiling of this cage. I want to go and get those bananas. Maybe that's all the first monkey had. And here comes some scientists spraying the cold water, those negative experiences, those negative, words and perceived failures come along to discourage us from reaching for our bananas, from reaching for our goals, from reaching for those things that we truly desire and want from our heart. Right? It's this idea that we are prevented from striving for our higher purpose, from our calling, from, the abilities that we know we can exercise. Those bananas are right there in front of us. And inevitably what happens is time and time again, if at first you don't succeed, you try and try and try again. But do we try and try again? I think we have people in our environment who sometimes add a negative influence. Those scientists spraying those monkeys with cold water. Maybe the monkey fell off the ladder. Maybe he got hurt. Maybe the other monkeys started beating him down. Well, we know that they started beating him down because they were being sprayed with cold water because someone else wanted to be a trailblazer. Someone else wanted to be innovative. Someone else wanted to go out and take a step outside of the norm and go for their dreams. But it affected us all. Maybe you're an entrepreneur and you decided, I'm going to take a step and a leap of faith and I'm going to go and open up my business. But maybe it's affected your family negatively in terms of the financial contribution that you bring into the home now. But the dream in your heart is so strong. The bananas are still hanging from the ceiling. What are you going to do, right? What about the monkeys who were sprayed? They experienced the excitement of the innovator coming up with a new idea. They experienced the implementation of this new idea, this new system. Maybe it was a change of leadership. Who knows what happened, right? But then they experienced a negative experience because of someone else's doing. Maybe you're watching someone in your environment that's attempting to go for something and they experience a negative perception. Does that mean that you should never try? Does that mean that you should not go for it? Does that mean you should never ever take a step on your ladder, on whatever resource is made available to you? Does that mean you should never ever go for it just because there's some cold water involved? And then what about the monkeys who were then taken out and put in every single time a new dry monkey was introduced, every single time a new trailblazer is introduced? I almost see this particular this dry monkey as the person who is new in the environment but sees only opportunities and just hasn't tasted any of the negative results that maybe some of the other people have tasted in your environment. What's it like for that monkey to come in? They're coming into an environment where opportunity exists, but where the teammates that they're surrounded with are not seeing the opportunities exactly the same way. They've experienced some negative experiences, or they've had some failures along the way, and this has discouraged them to the point where they begin to beat down this dry monkey. Are you beating people down that are simply just going for their goals, going for their dreams, trying to reach their higher purpose, reach their higher calling? Are you one of those wet monkeys who's maybe experienced something negative in your life and now you find it fit and justified to somehow discourage other people in your environment? Do you think that's fair? What are your thoughts concerning this? Are you the dry monkey? Are you the wet monkey? Or are you the beat down monkey? And I think we find ourselves at different points in the story, at different points in our life. It's at one point we were that green monkey going for it, the dry monkey, going for it. And then at another point we were sprayed with water and we felt the pain of failure. And at other times we were the monkey who got beat down. And so inevitably what we do in our environments is that we crush others and we step on their hope and we kill their excitement and we kill their creativity simply because we've not experienced a monkey reaching and grabbing hold of those bananas. But just because it's never happened, it doesn't mean it can't happen. And my encouragement to you today is to take a leaf out of the New Monkey's book. And that new monkey says, hey man, I see the opportunity. Regardless of what you guys have faced, regardless of what you guys have experienced in this environment, that's not going to deter me. I'm going to go for gold. I'm going to go for those bananas. Don't stop being that monkey. Don't stop being that person in your environment that encourages others. Don't stop being the person in the environment who inspires, uplifts, and enables others to achieve and reach their goals. Michael Jordan said it so beautifully when he said that talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence wins championships. Mother Teresa said something so beautiful. She says, none of us, including me, ever do great things, but we can all do small things with great love, and together we can do something wonderful. Now, something that never happened in the experiment was that the monkeys never ever worked together, and this is what I'd like to bring to the table. The monkeys never ever worked together. One monkey never ever said, you know what, I'm going to go and stand really close to the hose and try and protect you guys. So I'm going to take the hits and you guys just make sure you get the bananas, because when you get the bananas, we're all going to win. We're all going to have partake in this victory of ours. There was no teamwork. And I'm saying to us today, is this idea of competition, is it valid? I went to a business breakfast hosted by the SAW Institute last week, and one of the leaders there, Rian and Gavin, he basically informed us that the theory of evolution, Darwin's theory that only the strong survive, it was actually debunked. And I remember 2 weeks ago, I think it was 2 weeks ago, where I shared that the human species' most valuable trait is our ability to build communities, to build teams, And so having one theory debunked and having another theory validated, I'm asking myself, is competition really the highest order of the day, or is collaboration not the way to go? Creating win-win scenarios, creating mutually beneficial scenarios where everybody benefits. And that's really what I'd like to inspire and encourage you with today. And in closing, I'd like to I've taken a leaf out of the 300, the movie 300, where the hunchback approaches Leonidas and says, I'd like to be a part of the Spartan army. And he shows Leonidas how he can thrust that spear. And Leonidas then explains to the hunchback that it's not our victories don't come from our ability to thrust spears. Our victory comes from our abilities to stand side by side with our shields and attack as one impenetrable unit. And he says, the sword and shield are as much a part of the man as the man himself, but so is the man standing next to him and the one standing on the other side. The most important part of the Spartan's army then is the people he stands with. This was the Midweek Motivation right here on brandlive.co.za. I'd like to encourage you and inspire you to keep standing with those people who are on the same mission as you. Be an enabler, not a disabler. Be the monkey that goes for the bananas. Be the resourceful one. Be the one who looks at the ladder and is not afraid to climb it, despite some scientists spraying you with some cold water along the way. Be the one in your environment who goes for it. Be the one who inspires. Be the one who motivates. Be the one who encourages. Be the creative one who's not afraid to push the boundaries and ask the questions, why are we doing things this way? Is there not a new way? Is there not a better way? Let's go out there and make the world a better place to live in. Thank you so much for listening to me today. My name is Keenan Paulson, and this was the Midweek Motivation right here on brandlive.co.za. See you guys next week.
brandlive.co.za